What's good, YouTube? Today we're gonna be reacting to the worst pop star deaths of all time. Not gonna lie, there are some pretty crazy pop star deaths out there. If I'm not high energy in this video, it is because I'm sick, but without further ado, let's get right into this video.
Liam Payne. On October 16th, 2024, 31-year-old Liam Payne checked into the Casa Sur Palermo Hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The former One Direction member had been in Argentina attending a concert by his former bandmate Niall Horan. That afternoon, hotel staff became increasingly concerned about Payne's behavior in his third-floor room.
Do y'all know who this is? I've never heard of him, I'm not gonna lie.
Around 5 p.m., the hotel manager placed an urgent call to emergency services. In the recorded 911 call, the manager frantically reported that a guest was overwhelmed by drugs and alcohol and was destroying the room. The manager specifically expressed fear because the room had a balcony. Just minutes after that call, at approximately 5:07 p.m., a loud crash was heard in the hotel's interior courtyard.
Liam
Payne had fallen from his third-floor balcony.
Bro, how drunk do you have to be to like fall off a balcony? Or even to like jump off of it and take your own life?
Courtyard below.
It's crazy.
Emergency responders arrived within minutes, but Payne was pronounced dead at the scene from multiple traumatic injuries sustained in the fall. When police entered Payne's hotel room, they found a chaotic scene. The television had been smashed. Aluminum foil, white powder, and drug paraphernalia were scattered around the room. A half-drunk glass of champagne sat on a table. The room showed clear signs of a struggle or violent episode. Investigators determined that Payne had been alone in the room when he fell. Toxicology reports would later reveal the presence of multiple substances in his system.
Can't just having like multiple substances in your system kill you alone? Like, I thought if you drink alcohol and do some sort of drug, it'll just instantly like kill you.
The exact circumstances of how he went over the balcony remained under investigation. The death shocked the music world. One Direction had been one of the biggest pop groups of the 2010s, and Payne had millions of fans worldwide. Payne's former bandmates issued statements expressing their devastation.
I've heard of One Direction, but I've never heard of Liam Payne.
Hotel balcony fall became one of the most discussed celebrity deaths in recent years, raising questions about hotel safety protocols and the dangers faced by celebrities struggling with substance abuse. Michael Jackson. On June 25, 2009, 50-year-old Michael Jackson was at his rented mansion in Los Angeles, preparing for his This Is It comeback concert tour. Jackson had been struggling with insomnia for years and had employed a personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray.
I always thought this man died from like the Pepsi commercial or something where his head got lit on fire, but apparently he died to like drugs or something.
Around 12 p.m., Jackson was in his bedroom receiving his daily treatment. Murray was administering propofol, a powerful anesthetic used in surgical procedures, through an intravenous drip. Jackson called it his milk because of its milky white appearance.
So do you call nut milk too because that is like a white milky substance?
This wasn't a sleeping pill. Propofol is what anesthesiologists use to render patients unconscious for surgery. Murray had been giving Jackson nightly propofol infusions for weeks so he could sleep. That day, after administering the propofol and other sedatives, Murray left Jackson alone in the bedroom to make phone calls. When he returned, Jackson wasn't breathing. Murray began CPR and called for help.
Did this man get arrested for that? Like, isn't that like murder or something?
Precious minutes had been lost. Paramedics arrived and transported Jackson to UCLA Medical Center. Doctors worked for over an hour trying to revive him.
Where did he die at? Like, LA, I'm guessing, because UCLA?
Jackson was pronounced dead at 2:26 p.m. from cardiac arrest caused by acute propofol intoxication. The news broke online and literally crashed the internet. Twitter, Wikipedia, and AOL.
Bro, did y'all see the new like Michael Jackson movie that came out? I low-key want to see it because this man is like legit the GOAT.
All experienced outages as millions tried to access information simultaneously.
Do y'all really think Michael Jackson like went to the island? Me, low-key, I think he did, but it like wasn't the reason to like touch kids and stuff.
Dr. Conrad Murray was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter for administering the propofol in a home setting without proper monitoring equipment. Jackson's death revealed the extreme lengths he had gone to in pursuit of sleep, essentially undergoing surgery every night in his bedroom. Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
Every night?
On April 25th, 2002, 30-year-old Lisa Lopez was driving a Mitsubishi Montero SUV on a highway in La Ceiba, Honduras. Lopez, known as Left Eye from the Grammy-winning group TLC,
I've never heard of Left Eye from TLC,
was in Honduras working on a spiritual documentary and recording music. She had brought cameras to document her journey of self-discovery and healing. Several passengers were in the vehicle with her, and a camera was rolling from the passenger seat, capturing their road trip. As Lopez drove along the highway, another vehicle appeared ahead in her lane. Lopez swerved to avoid a collision. The sudden maneuver caused her SUV to lose control. The Montero
Dang.
rolled multiple times across the roadway.
How do like people get in crashes? Like I've never been in a car crash. Hopefully I like never get in one. Like that's something I've never understood because like what if you just like go out of the way?
The camera continued recording as the vehicle tumbled, capturing chaotic images of the interior spinning before the screen went black. Lisa Lopez died instantly from severe neck and head injuries sustained in the crash. Her passengers survived with various injuries. When the footage was recovered, it showed Lopez at the wheel just seconds before the fatal crash.
Is this like in the documentary, like her death and stuff?
The existence of video documentation of her final moments made the tragedy particularly haunting. But there was another layer to the story. Weeks before her own death, Lopez had been a passenger in a van that struck and killed a 10-year-old boy in Honduras.
Dang.
She had been deeply affected by the accident, paying for the boy's funeral and speaking to his family. In conversations recorded before her death, Lopez had expressed a belief that a spirit or curse was following her.
Me personally, I don't believe in curses, but like, do y'all believe in curses? Because I don't think these things are true. Like, how if you accidentally kill someone, a spirit follows you or you get cursed?
She felt the boy's death was a warning or sign. Then, on a highway just weeks later, she died in a vehicle accident herself. TLC had been working on a comeback, and Lopez's death meant the group could never fully reunite. Her surviving bandmates were devastated. The crash footage has never been publicly released out of respect for her family, but its existence has fueled ongoing fascination with her final days in Honduras. Aaliyah.
Do y'all listen to Aaliyah? Like, I've never really listened to, like, any of her music. All I know is that she, like, died or something in a plane crash on her way to, like, record a music video.
25th, 2001. 22-year-old Aaliyah finished filming a music video in the Bahamas. The R&B star and actress had spent several days shooting the video for her single Rock the Boat on the island of Abaco. The shoot had wrapped, and her team was preparing to return to Florida. A small twin-engine Cessna 402B had been chartered to fly Aaliyah and her crew back to the United States. However, the team had accumulated significant equipment and luggage during the video shoot. Everyone wanted to leave that day rather than wait for a larger aircraft. Around 6:45 p.m., Aaliyah and 8 others boarded the small plane at Marsh Harbor Airport. The pilot was 30-year-old Luis Morales III.
Please tell me this dude got arrested and this is like his mugshot or something.
The Cessna began its takeoff roll down the runway. The plane lifted off but immediately struggled to gain altitude. Within seconds, the aircraft crashed just 200 feet from the end of the runway, slamming into the ground and bursting into flames. All 9 people aboard died. Aaliyah was killed on impact. Investigations into the crash revealed a cascade of negligence. The aircraft had been loaded with approximately 700 pounds more weight than its maximum capacity.
Dang, bro, y'all loaded this thing up to its max and went past the max. Like, this is your guys' reason why you died.
The team's insistence on taking all their equipment had doomed the flight before it began. Additionally, toxicology tests showed the pilot had cocaine and alcohol in his system.
Why would you want to fly a plane if you had cocaine and alcohol in your system? Like, I'm glad this dude did get arrested.
Records revealed that Luis Morales was not properly certified to fly the Cessna 402B. He had lied about his qualifications. The plane itself had questionable maintenance records. Every factor that could go wrong had gone wrong. Aaliyah's death at 22 robbed the music world of one of its brightest rising stars. She had just completed filming the Matrix sequels and was at the peak of her career. Had anyone insisted on waiting for proper equipment, a certified pilot, or a larger aircraft, Aaliyah would have lived. Instead, impatience and negligence.
Exactly, like impatience is the reason that these people are dead.
Killed everyone aboard. Randy Rhoads. On March 19, 1982, 25-year-old Randy Rhoads was on tour with Ozzy Osbourne, traveling through Florida on the band's tour bus. Rhoads was one of rock's most talented young guitarists, having revitalized Osbourne's solo career.
I've never listened to like rock music that much. Like even Ozzy Osbourne, I cannot name a single song by him.
The tour bus stopped overnight at a property in Leesburg, Florida, owned by the bus driver's family. That morning, the bus driver, Andrew Aycock, decided to take a small Beechcraft Bonanza airplane that was parked on the property for joyrides. Aycock had a pilot's license, though it had expired. He had also been using cocaine.
You mean to tell me that this man had a pilot's license but expired and he was on cocaine? Bro, you are just trying to die at this point.
Around 8 a.m., Aycock began taking crew members up for short flights. Randy Rhoads, despite a fear of flying, agreed to go up in the plane. The band's tour manager also boarded for the flight. Ozzy Osbourne was asleep on the tour bus below. As Aycock flew the small plane, he decided to play a dangerous prank. He would buzz the tour bus to wake up Osbourne and the sleeping band members. Aycock made a low pass over the bus.
What type of idea is this, bro? You are just trying to get everyone killed.
Then he circled and came back for another pass, flying even lower. On the second or third pass, Aycock misjudged his altitude. The plane's left wing clipped the tour bus. The impact sent the aircraft into an uncontrolled spin. The Beechcraft cartwheeled through the air and crashed directly into a nearby mansion, exploding on impact. All 3 people aboard died instantly in the fireball. On the tour bus, Osbourne woke to the sound and impact of the wing striking the vehicle. He initially thought the bus had crashed.
How would you not wake up to that? Like, if you got hit by a plane? Well, okay, I know some people that probably wouldn't even bat an eye if they did get hit by a plane.
He got outside. He saw the burning mansion and wreckage. Someone told him Randy was on the plane. Osbourne had lost his best friend and musical collaborator in a pointless prank. The tour was immediately canceled. Rhodes was buried in California, and the rock world mourned a generational talent cut down at 25 by someone else's reckless stupidity.
Exactly.
Sophie. On January 30th, 2021, it was just a normal day for 34-year-old Sophie in her 3rd-floor apartment in Athens, Greece.
Do y'all know who Sophie is? I've never heard of this person, like, ever.
The Scottish musician and producer had become one of the most influential figures in experimental pop music, pioneering the hyperpop genre and producing for artists like Madonna and Charlie XCX. Around 4 a.m., Sophie climbed to the roof of her apartment building. She had brought a camera, intending to photograph the full moon that hung bright over Athens. The moon was particularly luminous that night, and Sophie wanted to capture its beauty. As she moved around the rooftop trying to get the perfect angle for her photograph, Sophie slipped.
Bro, this is sad, because if, like, this person maybe used, like, a flashlight or something, they wouldn't have, like, walked into the darkness, and she'd probably still be alive till this day, because maybe she would have saw something that she, like, would have slipped on.
She fell from the roof, dropping 3 stories to the ground below. Emergency services were called, and she was rushed to a hospital. Doctors worked to treat her injuries, but Sophie died from the trauma of the fall. News of her death spread quickly through the music community. There had been no drugs, no car crash, no violence. Sophie had simply been trying to photograph something beautiful and lost her footing in the dark. Sophie had been intensely private, and details of her personal life were scarce. Her death at 34 seemed impossibly young. Tributes poured in from across the music industry. Artists who had worked with her described her genius and kindness. The hyperpop movement she had helped create continued to grow, but without its pioneering architect, the fragility of life, and how quickly everything can end, even for someone reaching for beauty rather than engaging in risky behavior. Ritchie Valens.
Who is
On February 3rd, 1959, 17-year-old Ritchie Valens.
Bro, this dude is like, he's older than Unk Status. You mean to tell me that this man is alive in like the 1950s?
Valens was on tour as part of the Winter Dance Party, traveling through the frozen Midwest. Valens had been famous for less than 8 months, but his songs La Bamba and Donna had already made him a star. The tour had been grueling, with long drives on freezing buses through Iowa in the middle of winter. After a show at the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa, headliner Buddy Holly decided to charter a small plane to the next tour stop to avoid another miserable bus ride. Holly booked seats for himself and his band members, but Valens desperately wanted a seat on that plane. He approached guitarist Tommy Allsup, who had one of the seats, and begged him for it. Allsup was reluctant. They decided to flip a coin. Valens called heads. The coin came up heads. Valens reportedly said, "That's the first time I've ever won anything in my life." He took the seat on the plane. Shortly after 1 a.m. on February 3rd.
So this man died because he, like, got a different seat? R.I.P. to him, bruh. Like, if they never did this coin flip, he would still be alive.
Craft Bonanza took off from Mason City Airport in a light snowstorm. Aboard were pilot Roger Peterson, Buddy Holly, J.P. Richardson, and Ritchie Valens. Within minutes of takeoff, something went wrong. The plane veered and crashed into a frozen Iowa cornfield. All 4 died instantly on impact.
Dang.
Investigators later determined the pilot had become disoriented in the storm and lost control. The tragedy became known as The Day the Music Died, immortalized in Don McLean's song American Pie.
I've never heard of Don McLean. Like, who are these people? I know who Michael Jackson and Aaliyah is, and that's it.
3 of rock and roll's brightest young stars had died together. For Ritchie Valens, the coin flip that seemed like good luck had actually sealed his fate. Tommy Allsup, who lost the coin toss and stayed on the bus, lived another 58 years. Elvis Presley. On August 16th, 1977, 42-year-old Elvis Presley...
Didn't my boy die, like, taking a poop or something like that?
...at his Graceland mansion in Memphis, Tennessee. The king of rock and roll had been struggling with health problems and prescription drug addiction for years. His weight had ballooned, and he could barely perform. That afternoon, Elvis went into his bathroom. Hours later, around 2:30 p.m., his girlfriend Ginger Alden found him unresponsive on the bathroom floor.
So you're telling me he pooped himself to death or something like that?
His girlfriend Ginger Alden found him unresponsive on the bathroom floor, face down on the carpet. She called for help immediately. Elvis's road manager and others rushed in and attempted to revive him. An ambulance transported Elvis to Baptist Memorial Hospital, but he was pronounced dead at 3:30 p.m. The initial announcement stated he had died of a heart attack. What emerged later was far more complex and undignified. The autopsy revealed that Elvis's colon was massively enlarged, approximately twice the size of a normal human colon. He had suffered from severe chronic constipation caused by years of opioid abuse. The strain of attempting to use the bathroom, a physical effort known as the Valsalva maneuver, had likely triggered cardiac arrhythmia and heart failure. Elvis Presley, the most glamorous and successful entertainer in the world, had essentially died straining on the toilet from drug-induced constipation. The toxicology report showed significant levels of multiple prescription drugs in his system, including codeine, Valium, and other medications. His personal physician, Dr. George Nicopolis, had prescribed thousands of pills to Elvis.
He prescribed him thousands of pills, so that's probably the reason why he did die.
Months before his death. The world mourned Elvis as a cultural icon, but the medical reality of his death revealed a man who had been slowly killing himself with prescription medications. Tens of thousands of fans descended on Graceland. Elvis was buried there after a funeral attended by celebrities and dignitaries. The bathroom death became tabloid fodder, but it also highlighted the deadly consequences of prescription drug abuse. Whitney Houston. On February 11th, 2012, 48-year-old Whitney Houston was staying at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Los Angeles. That evening, the hotel was hosting a pre-Grammy Awards party thrown by music executive Clive Davis, Houston's longtime mentor. Around 3:30 p.m., Houston drew a bath in her fourth-floor suite. She filled the tub with extremely hot water, over 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Houston had cocaine and prescription medications in her system. She lowered herself into the scalding bath water. At some point, Houston lost consciousness.
She died because she took a hot bath? Like, yo, how do you die because of that?
She slipped beneath the water and drowned. When her assistant found her around 3:35 p.m., Houston was face down in the tub. The assistant called for help. Paramedics arrived and attempted resuscitation, but Whitney Houston was pronounced dead at the scene. The medical examiner determined she had died from accidental drowning, with heart disease and cocaine use as contributing factors. The water had been so hot it had burned the skin on her back, but Houston had been too intoxicated.
How hot was that water, bro? Was it like 200 degrees?
To feel the pain or pull herself out. The circumstances were grim, but what happened next shocked many. Houston's body was removed from the hotel room and taken to the coroner's office. That same evening, just hours after her death, Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party proceeded as scheduled in the ballroom downstairs. Davis made a brief statement about Houston's death. Then the party continued with performances and celebration.
They just forgot about her like that? Like she's dead and everything and no one cared?
Whitney Houston's body had been in the building hours earlier, and now guests were drinking champagne in the same hotel. The decision to continue the party drew criticism, though Davis defended it as what Whitney would have wanted. The bathtub death of one of music's greatest voices became another cautionary tale about addiction's deadly grip. Prince. On April 21st, 2016.
Didn't he also die because of drugs? And that is something crazy with like all these people. They do die from like drug use and stuff.
Staff at Paisley Park, Prince's estate and recording complex in Minnesota, found the 57-year-old musician unresponsive in an elevator. Emergency services were called at 9:43 a.m. Paramedics arrived and attempted resuscitation, but Prince was pronounced dead at the scene at 10:07 a.m. The news shocked the world. Prince had just performed shows days earlier and seemed to be in his usual form. The investigation revealed a tragic case of accidental poisoning. Prince had been suffering from severe chronic hip pain, the result of decades of performing in high heels and executing athletic stage moves.
Why would you want to perform in high heels and do like acrobatics and stuff? Like that's just like trying to get pain whenever you're older.
He had been taking what he believed were Vicodin pills for the pain. Toxicology results showed Prince had exceedingly high levels of fentanyl in his system. The pills he had been taking were not legitimate Vicodin. They were counterfeit pills manufactured illegally and pressed with fentanyl, a synthetic opioid 50 times stronger than heroin. Prince had unknowingly been taking fentanyl, believing it was prescription hydrocodone. On April 21st, he took pills that contained a lethal dose. Investigators found similar counterfeit pills throughout Paisley Park, in vitamin bottles and other containers. Prince had likely been obtaining them through intermediaries without knowing they were fake. Prince became a victim of the fentanyl crisis that was beginning to sweep America. He left no will, and his estate became tied up in legal battles. His death highlighted the deadly danger of counterfeit prescription pills, a problem that has only worsened in subsequent years.
Alright YouTube, that's all for today's video. Make sure you guys subscribe down below. Subscribe to my main channel and my extra channel, and join the Discord in VL on top. And until next time, I'm out.